Feeling so great from the inside out. Feeling so great from the inside out, better than your morning would feel without. Stretching our self-awareness like a muscle every morning to feel great in that body of ours. Because when you feel great, you think great, and when you think great, you do great. Today, on Tuesday, August 31st, 2021, on True Love Tuesday, we discuss sexual differences on Pagawan. Woo! You are, whenever thou art. Today is, well, we are at 5:38 a.m. Good morning. It is True Love Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. On True Love Tuesday, where we always talk about the truth without hatred, as we know that is the truth that is the true love we're looking for, the truth without hatred. Why? So we can orient in each other's lives. We need the truth to go off the truth. Today we talk about sexual differences, how there are none. Psych, there's a lot. In some ways, and none in other ways. There's no differences. In some ways, there's a lot of differences. But that's a good thing. And we'll be right back on Pagawan. Wherever you are, have a great day. Let's get up, baby. Oh, yeah. There's always something. Good morning. Wherever you are you just kicking off the sheets? Are you just waking up? Are you having a hard time waking up? Good morning! If you're having a hard time waking up, please join me in looking around the room or feeling yourself as we stretch our self-awareness like a muscle. There is no right or wrong answer specifically in terms of performance, but we are looking for some discovery. As in the behavior of discovery. It's not exactly important what specifically or what performance-based metric we find there, but an overall behavior is what we're looking for, an overall attitude, an overall disposition, an overall, if you will, spirit. An overall spirit towards what you're doing. So if you would, with me, without trying to get any specific results out of it, would you with me please participate in the behavior of pretending that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out? If you would with me, please. Just for a second, like really quickly, just pretend that there's like a candle in front of your lips, like 1 to 2 inches, and you're trying to not put it out. And you're leaving your small muscles alone as you do so. Even say it in your head, if that's something that you think will help you. Even say it in your head. If you don't feel comfortable saying it out loud, just say it with me. Even if it's in your head, leave your swallowing muscles alone. As you observe your sense of self, please again say it with me, even if it's in your head. Leave those swallowing muscles alone. Wherever you are. Whether you're with your friends, hanging out, drinking some beer, drinking some Sprite, drinking some water, if you're at the beach or if you're inside. All of you, would you please with me? Even if it's in your head, if you're too embarrassed, it's okay. Just please say it with me. Just leave your swallowing muscles alone. Just say it in your head, even if you have to. You don't feel comfortable saying it out loud. You and all your homies. Please. In your head, just imagine with me that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. You and all your homies. Just pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. It's a flickering candle. You're not trying to inhale or exhale, just pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles all the way alone as you do so. And just Observe your sense of self as that happens, and how does that feel for you? Wherever you are, whenever thou art, whether you're with the homies or not, whether it is loud as hell wherever you are, maybe you're just having the earphones, or maybe we're bumping on a speaker right now. Hello, everybody. Whatever it is that you guys are doing, just throw it in there. Just sprinkle it in there. Keep making that juice. Keep making that smoothie. Keep talking that talk. Let these words enter one ear and out the other. Please let me blend into the background. Let me be part of the symphony that is your life. But please, if you would, just for a second, integrate with me. Pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips. Whatever you are doing, whether you're talking with your friends or whether you're ordering a drink, please pretend that there's a candle, a lit candle in front of thy lips. And you're trying to not put it out, blah, 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 and leave your swallowing muscles alone as you observe your sense of self. You beautiful creature, you. Do you not realize it is True Love Tuesday and you came here looking like that, you beautiful creature, you? Amazing. You know we gotta talk to you now. You know we gotta talk about sexual differences and how there are absolutely no sexual differences. Psych! There's a lot of sexual differences in some ways, and very little sexual differences in other ways. But we talk about today and how that's a good thing. I'm Palgo On. My name is Herbie. Good morning, everybody. My name is Herbie, and this is Palgo On. We'll be right back to talk about men and women, sexual differences, like yin and yang. Are they the same? No, they cannot be. For if they were the same yin and yang, you'd not have yin and yang, and you'd not have the ability to continue forever, and have a balance that rotates and creates balance forever. But you would have a still object, not being able to be observed by anything because there's nothing else besides it. Men and women have to be completely different, and that's the point. Forever. We'll be right back, everybody. Feeling so good from the inside out, baby. Better than your morning wood. Feel it out, right? Waking the worlds up physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again. How do you all feel today? Welcome back. I'm your host, Herbie, this morning. And this has been Palgo On. I hope you've been feeling so great out there. Wherever you are. Wherever you are, thank you for tuning in to your only no-nonsense podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the Best Feeling Network. How are you feeling linked up today? Good morning. Rub your eyes a little bit. Not too hard, not too light. Remember to soft focus today. Try looking at someone's mouth like we talked about yesterday and focusing on yourself. Try looking at someone's mouth while you listen to them, but focus on your body as it responds to the way that they're talking, the way that they're acting. Look at the world. Look at women, look at men. Look at your loved ones. Look at them with your eyes. But keep your awareness on your body. And let your body be the canvas that the world splashes on, and read that instead of the world itself. You don't understand the world, but you do understand your body. And as your body gets splashed onto by the world, you can read that better and understand that better. But should you just be looking at the world without the inclusion of the self, without using the self as a background for the world to be displayed onto? You have nothing to orient each new experience towards. And so each new experience feels detached from the last. So each new experience feels detached from the last. How do we go about making sure that each new moment feels more whole? Instead of being detached. Again, how do we go about making sure that each new moment that we have is not disconnected from the last? Well, we go about it by keeping ourselves in truth without hatred. Ugh. Why? When you have the truth without hatred, you're looking at each new moment. You're looking at each new moment more honestly, more in the moment, more truthful, and you need the truth to understand thyself so that you can orient yourself towards things you want to do, because otherwise, without the truthfulness, you might be going off of who knows what. Isn't that true? So today we talk about sexual differences. Today we talk about sexual differences. We talk about soft focusing by looking at the mouth, at people's mouths, instead of their eyes, or maybe their foreheads. Important thing is that we're not focusing on the vision itself anymore, right? The vision itself is one of the many instruments part of our awareness, but instead of placing it at a 90% priority, which we used to, let's try putting it at 50% priority and see what happens. 50% energy, this vision stuff. Now, what does that mean? When we talk about sexual differences today, as we move forward, challenge you to look at the mouth, or look at anywhere but the eyes, but look at the face. But mouth is in the center too. You can look at the nose, you can look at the middle of the eyes, you can look at the third eye. Looking there, but paying attention to the body as the canvas. So keeping the vision there, because as you know, it's almost impossible to know exactly what you're looking at, as your vision could be centered on something, but your awareness decides what you're actually quote unquote looking at, as your vision could become the background focus if you focus on your hearing, for example, or your taste for a while, or your smell, or your touch, or your kinesthetic experience, as in pretending there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, and leaving the swallowing muscles alone as you do so. Your body. Looking at your partners, looking at your friends, looking at your life, looking at anything, looking at people. Looking at them, but paying attention to how your body feels as the vision is introduced into your kinesthetic experience. Using your vision to place them in your vision, but mostly paying attention to the sounds. As in looking at their mouths and paying attention mostly to the sound experience of your human experience, and how does that turn out? How much balance, how calm are you able to feel with a sex who might make you feel unsafe, who might make you feel uncalm? Are there not multiple ways to be going about paying attention to the world? as we have vision, as we have our body. If we're putting weight on the front of the spine, if we're putting weight on the front of the spine, the weight bearing portion of the spine, we're putting weight on the front of the shins. Many ways to go about even paying attention. And as we go forward, what are we paying attention to? Sexual differences. How there are none, baby. There are no sexual differences between human beings. No sexual differences between the male and the female of human beings. Psych, there's a lot in some ways and not a lot in some ways. And that's absolutely a good thing. We'll be right back to talk about this yin and yang again. For real, for real. For real, for real. These differences and why they're a good thing. We'll be right back. Yes, remember to anchor that tip of the tongue to the back of the bottom incisors, those back of the bottom teeth. And remember to leave those swallowing muscles alone as you do so. As you, one more time, wherever you are, whenever thou art, guys. Just let me blend into the background. Whether you're eating a hot dog, whether you're walking at the park, maybe you're just chilling in bed. Maybe you have me on while there's other music on. Whatever you are doing, let me blend into the background. The symphony that is your life. Do not attach to these words, but allow the words to go in one ear and out the other. And let me ask you out there, have you been joining me in pretending that there's a candle in front of your lips? And if you haven't, please go ahead and do that now. And leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. Remember, don't think about breathing in or out. This world is what you make it. This life is what you create it. These relationships are what you make of it. So one more time, please pretend with me, even if you're embarrassed, just in your head, just pretend that there's a candle. I guess there's only place you can pretend, but in your head, please pretend with me that there is a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. Not trying to inhale or exhale, you're just going about your day, you know, you're just speaking, you're just listening, whatever. And to leave those swallowing muscles alone as you do so, and remember to observe your sense of self as this happens. You can still hear them talking, can't you? You still have every intention of moving when you want to move, right? And you're still breathing, right? Despite not focusing on it. But what are you focusing on instead? The motion of the body, the feeling of the body, which is exactly what you want. The air will go where it goes. Just focus on the movement. of the body as you pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. Simply observing your sense of self as this happens. The yin and yang, the men and the women, different. Did you know that the fall of most large societies throughout history have often been associated with similar times when men and women have blurred the distinctions between the sexes? Did you know that? The fall of many civilizations have been not linked, but have been correlated with about the same time that their culture begins diminishing the appreciation for the differences between the sexes. And they start blurring the lines between the sexes and what they're about, what they appreciate. Why might that be? Well, maybe because when you stop appreciating the differences between the sexes, you stop appreciating yourself, as you are necessarily part of this yin and yang that you cannot control. It will go on forever, and it must be distinct, yin and yang, so that it can roll forever. The north side of a wheel of a bike must be completely distinct from the south side of the wheel of a bike, so that it may continue rolling forever. If you don't like that example, well, the outside of the wheel, the tires, must be distinct from the insides of the wheels, the spokes which are attached to the axle. Yet they are still part of the same structure. But they must be distinct, the inside of the wheel and the outside of the wheel. They must be distinct in order for the entire wheel to continue rolling forever, despite the fact that it's the same wheel. So despite the fact that humans, male and females, look so similar or are so similar in some ways, they must be distinct forever in other ways, or else the yin and yang will not work. You will not have a forever reality to continue to observe, to continue to improve. It would stop dead in its tracks. You need the differences between men and women. They energize each other. That's how it happens. That's what we love. What we should have been doing was appreciating that. What we should have been doing is appreciating that, not denying it, in order to save some people's feelings. Some people's feelings will adjust to reality. You know why? Because they're superhuman, just like you and me. All we must do is place the proper things into their awareness, the proper ordered facts into their awareness, and watch them fly. Why did societies in the past and cultures in the past, why did they blur the distinction between men and women? Well, aren't there great things about the men and women's? Aren't there great things about both the men and women experience? And outside looking in, when your experience isn't looking so great, isn't it easier possibly to look at the good sides of what you don't have? The men and the women. The women's side, we live in different worlds, right? Men and women. Men and women live in totally different worlds, right? No, Herbie, no they don't. Yes, they do. Right? And we like that. It's a good thing. Right? There's a culture to open doors. Women are the sex that literally can bear children. So they're treated differently. And we don't hate that. It's not a bad thing. It's just the case. It's just the nature of it. When they're treated differently, of course they are. Because they are different, right? You treat them differently. And so sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing, depending on your outlook on it. If you're in a situation where you feel like you can use a little bit more compassion, well, you're going to look at the women experience with a lot of envy. Because if there's something that the women experience is apt towards getting, compared to the male experience, it's compassion. When we stop appreciating the differences between the sexes, you think that you would think that we're including everybody in the same kind of happiness, right? But by going against the sheer reality, which is that all beings have sex, along with other sheer realities, right? Like all beings will die one day. No being gets old in a day. No human being gets old in a day. As we get forward, our experience becomes more increasingly complex. There's some things about nature that we just cannot change, for they are the rules themselves. So we think that we're being compassionate by saying, hey, there are no differences between the sex, so let's open this door. Here, everybody have all the love. But it's not possible because there are differences between the sex. So what you're doing is pretending that people can have all the love and then simultaneously denying them all of that love. You know how to give them all the love on True Love Tuesday? You integrate all the love you integrate all the truth without the hatred. You love all of the humanity in order to love yourself. You cannot love yourself without loving both sides, the differences between the sexes. And to love those, you must acknowledge those. So you can't love yourself without loving both distinct, different sexes. For their differences, you can't even love yourself because you are one part of that, necessarily. So should we lie to ourselves and pretend that there are no sexual differences, the truth will continue to assert itself and butt itself into our reality and be like, nah, you're wrong. There are differences. How do we be happy? How do we spread more love? The truth without hatred. Say it with me. The truth without hatred. Wherever you are, if you're just chilling, maybe you're not really hanging out with your friends, maybe you're just kicking your feet up, just hanging out. Say it with me. The truth without hatred. Again, one more time, say it with me. The truth without hatred. And you know that's includes hatred towards yourself too. Must not have hatred towards thyself, which can look like self-sabotage. It can look like depression. It can look like creating secret contracts with other people, like by doing something for them and in your head simultaneously expecting something back. It's like self-hatred, you know? You're not really respecting your ability to go after what you want directly, so you have to go about it indirectly. The truth without hatred today on True Love Tuesday, right? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. What is love? The truth without hatred. The truth without hatred. So we look at men and women. The truth without hatred so that we can understand the world as best as we can. We hold back as much anger and rage as we can as human beings because we know that can change the information that we give off to other people. And we can barely see the world ourselves, right? We are just barely able to confirm what we know, so in order for us to spread truth, in order for people to make better decisions in their lives, to see themselves better, because we are often the hardest person to see is ourselves, right? But imagine having a whole crew around you giving a 360 view on you, honestly, and also without hatred, perhaps with some comedy to make you happy, with love, self-awareness without hatred. You had this 360 view of you, how easy would it be to orient yourself? Or how much easier is it to orient yourself with people who know you in 3D and who are able to communicate you with love, without hatred? To tell you the truth about yourself without hatred, with more understanding as opposed to you're different than me. If people treated you like that, if people treated you always giving you information about yourself, but like in a way that's like, I understand and you're not different from me, I've been there too, or something like that. How might that change your life? How might that change your ability to orient yourself in the world? Because we're all just trying to understand how to be. What the heck do we do here? Well, we can start by loving ourselves, but that can only happen from loving ourselves, which means loving the differences between the sexes. We'll be right back, everybody. Pack one. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. Waking the worlds up physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again. World peace through individual inner peace. Welcome back, everybody, to Padawan. Let me just blend into the background right here. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back to work. Let's get back to hanging out. Let's get back to chilling wherever you are. Let's get some drinks on. Whatever you are doing. Get some drink. Get some water. Breathe some air. Today. Wiggle your arms today with me. Let me be an excuse for you and all your friends to act silly right now. Let me be an excuse. Let me be the excuse for you and all your friends to just act stupid and silly right now. Or yourself act stupid and silly right now. It is True Love Tuesday, and it definitely is Go On, so we're stretching our self-awareness every morning like a muscle. How art thou? Do you realize that we are one individual being in this entire world? You are just this one individual speck in these 7.2 billion or whatever the heck billion people in the world are right now. You're just this one person. Only this one person, all alone in this experience of yours. All alone as you're pretending that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. To leave your swallowing muscles alone. Whether you're talking to somebody or just meditating, whether you're in the lotus position or standing straight up speaking to somebody about lemonade right now, pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. You are just this one person in this entire world. It's just your experience as you're trying to not breathe in or out. You are alone in this experience. However, you are also one holistic part of this entire 7.2 billion people that literally does not exist without you. In the same way that even if you don't feel your stomach in your body right now, your body literally exists with the stomach. The stomach is literally part of this construction of your body, despite you not feeling that stomach at all times, right? You are this inseparable part of the 7.2 billion people until you leave, but you are inseparable part. This entire billions of people necessarily includes you. Necessarily. You are this thing. You are also this male or female experience. Beautiful in and of itself, regardless of how you feel on the inside. The outside reality looking in, you are beautiful in and of yourself. Just existing, simply existing, whether you are completely obviously male or completely obviously female or not. You are just beautiful for simply existing. Why? Because you are establishing meaning all the time. Even you confused little girl, you confused little boy right now, you're constantly establishing meaning, and isn't that so beautiful in and of itself, you beautiful creature, you? Even for you to begin questioning things like your sex. If that is something that you find yourself doing. Or if you are somebody who is pretending that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. And you are leaving your swallowing muscles alone. As you are doing so, you are completely beautiful in and of itself for establishing meaning. The meaning of your body, for even trying to understand what it is. As we sometimes can get obsessed with that when we do not have access to feeling good in this body. We wonder for days, we wonder for months, we wonder for years how to feel better in this body. And so we become obsessed with our body. It's a reflection of ourselves and the way that the world treats us, especially in how we go about it, and especially how we're dressed, and especially how we hold ourselves. It's going to reflect how people will end up treating us in life, right? So we end up becoming obsessed with our bodies. But doesn't that make you so beautiful in and of itself? To establish meaning between the two, your body and your experience of the outside world that you're receiving. Or that the world is receiving from you. To establish meaning about that That connection is already so beautiful in and of itself. You are this beautiful godlike creature already. You are this beautiful window to this godlike experience. Let no one tell you otherwise. Let no one tell you otherwise. Why? Because look how much beautiful meaning you create simply by looking at the world. Simply by understanding a contrast between the way that people are treated with one bodies, between the other bodies. Look at all this meaning you're already establishing. Look at all this superpower of awareness you're already establishing. You are this beautiful story of this human being trying to learn more about itself. So we are stretching our self-awareness out like a muscle every day, every morning with Pago on. But today on True Love Tuesday, we talk about the differences between the sexes. And if you've noticed, we haven't talked specifically about the differences between the sexes. Exactly. But rather the fact that there are differences in and of itself, and that's beautiful. What differences are there? Obvious ones. How about the ones that are not so obvious? Okay, those are not so obvious. How about where there aren't no differences? Okay, there aren't any differences. But all of it's good, all of it's positive. All of it's a good thing. Why? Because it helps you define yourself as well. It's not just about them. It's not just about you. Having clear distinctions does make it easier for them to understand themselves, bam, but also for you. Aren't we all just trying to understand what we need to do? What we want to do to feel good in life, objectively. How is that possible? Well, there is a design. How do we know that there's a design? Well, because even on the inside, isn't there a design? So even on the inside, if there's a design, what then for the outside world? What do you mean there's a design on the inside world, Herbie? What do you mean there's a design on the inside world, Herbie? Say it with me. What do you mean there's a design on the inside world, Herbie? One more time, say it with me. What do you mean there's a design on the inside, Herbie? The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. If there's a design on the inside that we've been denying, what then for the outside world of all these things that we had, that there had been implied design? Does that not give us any leads? If we found out that, for example, the weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front and not the back, isn't that so strange? Isn't that counterintuitive? Aren't there things strange and counterintuitive in life? How about the importance of the sexual differences? Isn't that sometimes strange in life? Isn't that strange and counterintuitive in life sometimes? Sometimes, but other times very intuitive. Same time, very intuitive. What are men doing all the time? Focused on things. What are women doing all the time? Focus on people. Why? Men typically are associated with things, objects, the outside world. Women typically looking at the inside world, ideals, relationships, chaos, romance, the romantics, the arts, the inside ideal world, the idealized human experience world. But don't we both experience those? Aren't men and women experiencing the outside world as well as the inside world? Well, yeah. That's why sexual differences don't exist, buddy. And we out. Later, guys. See you never. Psych. We're both experiencing different things, or we're both experiencing the same things, the outside world and the inside world. But focus on different ones each, right? Men looking at the outside world, and how does this resonate with you? Do not take these words for granted, but always check how they resonate with you on the inside. How does it feel with you that men focus on this outside world? Objectives, things, objects with their hands, blah, 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 blah. Working with their hands, focus on objects. Whereas women orient towards the inside world. The other part of the experience, which is the human experience, the idealized experience on the inside world, but the hands cannot touch necessarily. Maybe that arch of that back can. Something else does. How does that resonate with you? how does that resonate with you? And how does it resonate with your body? To place into your awareness, see, men look at the objects in the world, the outside world. The women are looking at the romanticized and the ideals of the human being, the inside world. And what we believe on the inside world, what we know of ourselves in the inside world. Aren't they both part of the same experience? It's outside world and the inside world. So if we have one sex orienting towards the outside and one sex orienting towards the inside world, isn't that just exactly perfect? Isn't that just exactly where we want it to be? So that we can specialize and understand more about them before we die. You don't have much time on this earth, right? And isn't that such a perfect design? Isn't that such a perfect design so we can specialize and look at both parts of life together? Isn't that such a perfect design? So I can learn about both parts of life without missing out on it. Isn't that such a perfect design? Isn't that such a perfect design? And don't you need both sexes? Don't you need to appreciate both sexes to appreciate the best out of both? If one of the sexes is oriented towards the outside world and it can do 100% of its job that way, and the other sex is oriented towards the inside world and it can do 100% of its job that way, well, isn't the best way to get 100% of both to appreciate both and not to try to split jobs between both, right? But just appreciate them both doing their thing and 100% the way they do it in their thing. Let them do their thing. It's amazing and it's beautiful, right? It's beautiful that way, right? It's absolutely beautiful that way. They can learn from each other. Not cross any bound, not step in each other's footsteps, not step in each other's feet, and still experience both the inside and the outside world. And isn't that so beautiful like that? And don't we need them different? Don't they need to be different? Why? So that we can get the best out of it instead of a lukewarm version of both of them. We can get the most out of both of them. How? Well, men have to focus on these objects so much that without women, they'd freaking kill themselves because they lack all sense of self sometimes when they go 100% in the outside world. But when you go 100% in the outside world, aren't you creating some crazy things with the human body sometimes? Aren't you just creating some crazy things for the human experience? Aren't you pushing some things forward? But don't you lose yourself? And these men would lose their sense of self. They would just destroy themselves. However, look at the women's. All focus on the self sometimes. Because they live towards that inside world. They're projecting a lot of that stuff to the outside world. So sometimes that's an issue because the outside world is not them sometimes. And even living in a different world could be different in the fact that we're gonna have a little bit of different politenesses towards women. So women don't always necessarily know that specific boundaries, whereas for men, there's always a specific boundary for which you must not speak above a certain limit in which you will get decked in the face and dropped to the floor. Whereas that limit does not necessarily exist for the sex that we designate for that inside world because we treasure that inside world because we need it. We understand inherently that we want 100% in the outside world, but we need 100% of the inside world. And we want inside it. And if we want, and vice versa, if we want 100% of the inside world, we also need that 100% of the outside world. And so how do we do that? By specializing and really appreciating both sides. Please pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out and to leave your swollen muscles alone. As you do so, as you observe your sense of self, yin and yang, you beautiful yin and yang you. Since they sometimes don't know their limits, but that's what we're here to teach each other about. Without the women, the men kill themselves because they have no sense of self. Without the women, they have a hard time adjusting to the outside world. Without the men, sometimes, without the outside world, as they are constantly focused and oriented towards the inside world, and we want it that way. It's a good thing. It's beautiful, and we need that. This is why men are the order, which is the outside world, and women associated with chaos, which is the inside world, as in that's a good thing, as in romance, as in beauty, as in art, as in this self. The human self needs this outside world to explore, but without the human self, as in without the female, the inside world, nothing takes care of the human self, so there's nothing to explore the world. We'll be right back, everybody. Please Please stay amazing in that window to this godlike experience that you are. We'll be right back. Wherever you are, whenever thou art, I hope you're feeling so great in that body of yours from the inside out. Feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would. Feel without. Feel without. Today we're talking about sexual differences on True Love Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. It is 6:27 a.m. Good morning, everybody. Stretch those legs. Or if this is a rerun, stretch those arms. Or if it's not a rerun, stretch those arms. Do whatever you want to do. Feels so great. Let me blend into that orchestra that is your consciousness right now. That symphony that is your awareness right now. Just let these words go in one ear and out the other always. Whether you're driving in your car, passing underneath that underpass, or whether you're taking a right, or maybe you're slowing down about to park. Remember to turn the lights off. Or maybe you're zipping that baby's diaper up, or tapping that baby's diaper up with the Velcro. That was for the baby. Whatever you are doing, please pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. Just flickering there. You're trying to not put it out. To leave your swallowing muscles all the way alone as you do so. And just observe your sense of self as that candle flickers in front of you, like about 1 to 2 inches in front of your lips. Please pretend with me on your first podcast in 3D. And there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles all the way alone as you do so. As we observe our sense of self, no matter what we are doing. Are you talking to your girlfriend right now? Are you talking to your boyfriend right now? Have you tried keeping them in your vision? Keeping their mouth at the center of their vision? Your vision? But allowing your awareness to shift to your hearing? Or allowing your awareness to shift to your body, or feeling the candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out? And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. as you do so. Observing your sense of self. I'm gonna talk about sexual differences real quick. We'll close it out like this. Let's just pretend with me for a second though. Like just imagine that you're like this vessel. You're like, we're all this like vessel, right? This like moving vessel throughout life. Just imagine that you're like this vessel to this, you're just this vessel to this godlike experience that you are. That you really are. You're one part of this yin and yang. Let's just think about how you are a vessel. Just going through space and time. You got the space and time that you're going through, and you got your vessel. Now, men are typically focused on the space and time that their vessel is going through, whereas women typically are focused on the vessel that is going through the space and time. We both live the experience. We both live the experience of being a vessel that is traveling through space and time, and one sex is oriented outwards, the way literally they are physically, and the other sex is oriented inwards towards the vessel. Towards the maintenance, towards the observation, towards the awareness of the vessel itself as it travels through space and time. One oriented outwards towards the space and time itself, and one oriented inwards towards the vessel that is traveling space and time. Towards the care and towards the understanding, the introspection, the coordination, the discovery, the awareness of the inside world. Women typically are more aligned to, more oriented towards naturally, which is also why they tend to be better at body mapping naturally, as you're pretending that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscle alone as you do so. Like when you tell a woman to sing from her lower back, she has a higher chance of knowing what the heck you mean by that compared to a man. When you tell a woman to leave your swallowing muscles alone, you have a higher chance of understanding what that feels like already. They have a higher chance of feeling the weight of the body down the front of the spine and feeling those rainbow arches and feeling that you do not sit on your legs. Yes, indeed, allowing the weight to travel down, allowing the weight of the body as you relax, right? Allowing your weight of your body to be transferred consciously and unconsciously through the front of the spine, and then not into this tailbone singularly, but your weight dividing outwards evenly into these rainbow arch structures that are part of your pelvis bone. Into these sitting bones right there, which are these two round parts of your pelvis, which make contact with the sitting surface that you're on, while your legs are free to float, basically attached to the sides of your pelvis, but not touching your sitting surface. So small little things like that, little small intimations or small micro coordinations in the body, women have usually much easier time feeling those things because they are naturally more oriented towards the inside self, the vessel itself, as opposed to the space and time that the vessel is traveling towards. So women typically tend to be better at body mapping for this exact reason. Sexual differences are important, but at the same time, we have none because we live similar experiences, and in a way, our entire situation is no different. But the vessel that we have and our attention to our awareness is heavily different, and that's a good thing. Yin and yang, baby. Let's travel together forward forever. Ugh, sounds like underwater. Let's travel forward together forever. If this sounds underwater, we'll there you go, not underwater. Let's travel forward together forever. How? Well, look at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself in your awareness. Or look at your partner. And please pretend with me that there's a candle in front of thy lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. Observing your sense of self. Remember to allow these words to go in one ear and out the other as we say goodbye for now. And remember that the weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. Please say it with me, and even if it's just in your head, everybody. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. And say it with me, even if it's just in your head, as we say goodbye today. Feel the weight of the body into the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all the times. This has been another True Love Tuesday, everybody. We talk about sexual differences. I'm Pal Go On. You are the this vessel. You are this window to this godlike experience that you are. You are this vessel traveling through space and time. Men focus on what's going on outside, but able to do both, obviously, right? We all have experiences in both, but men typically orient. If you're rolling a ball down a hill, path of least resistance, men will typically roll towards the outside world. Women will typically roll towards this vessel that is all of us. The vessel itself, as we are both part of the same experience, appreciating both to love life completely instead of loving life half by not appreciating both. But pretending that they're the same when we're not the same, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We'll see you guys tomorrow on Warfare Wednesday, right back here every morning at 5:30 every morning with your host, Herbie. This has been Tag On.